to the Hall of Fame. Again, as always, we have our next episode. So I can't wait for you guys to see that. But before, as always, we always do a state of the industry, keep you an idea of what's really going on now. And I hope you guys went and checked out the Supreme Court ruling that we posted out. We feel it was so important. It was such a big question in our industry. I wanted the brokers and the truckers to understand what that ruling meant. That opens up liability now to freight brokers outside of just the trucking company. You want details on that? Go to the Hall of Fame, YouTube, go to Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or Spotify, and check that out. So with that said, let's get into what else is going on. So the Surface Transportation Board accepted the UP and NS merger. They still have a couple of few things to complete before it's totally approved, but it's moving down the line to be approved. So again, we talked about this. This is going to allow you now to have a railroad that goes all the way from California to New Jersey. There is no railroad that goes transatlantic before. They all meet Chicago. They can meet in other places like Kansas City and other merger, but for the most part, they meet Chicago and switch to another railroad. So that leaves the BNSF and the CSX working together, but not being one company. The CSX, I think, is still public, and the BNSF is owned by Berkshire Hathaway. So keep that in mind, how that affects. Another thing, as the Iran war continues to go, the war in the Middle East, Iran war, whatever you want to call it, as that continues to try, the cost per barrel has dropped a little. And remember, before the war started, we're talking about $56 to $60 a barrel. Now it's about $89 to $90. I don't know what it'll be when this actually airs, somewhere in that range, but it's got as high as like 110. So it's settling down a little. Part of that is the U.S. is producing a lot of fuel, not only fuel from Venezuela that we're refining, millions and millions of barrels, but we're also selling a lot of fuel. There's a lot of people coming all over, which I think is great for the U.S. economy. You don't see it now, but you'll see it in time. And inflation is up a little higher than it was last year this time, but I think most of that is being driven by fuel. People don't realize just because you pay more at the pump, you also pay more in the store because fuel surcharges to get equipment and food and everything to the store all affects your cost of living. So fuel is a big driver. Plus, fuel is used in making plastics, chairs, you name it. People don't realize how many things fuel it affects itself. So keep that all in mind. Something else about the war, the ocean carriers has said they have picked up an additional $5.5 billion in costs. That's running around Africa versus going through the Strait of Hormuz. And I think that's just cost that they're not gonna recover all of it, but expect that they're gonna push some of that on to the customer because they're raising some of their rates, which will then go to the cost of goods, which again end up at the end user. Not so much for us. I think the number is around 2 to 4% or 4 to 6% of the amount of freight that goes to the Strait of Hormuz actually comes to the U.S. This is a European problem, not necessarily an America problem. But again, I think that hopefully will work itself out in the next month or so. By the time we do the next episode, which will be 1 July, our 4th of July special, which is going to be amazing. Just hold on for it. So it's coming out of subcommittee now. It's the Build America bill. It's a $480 billion highway bill, which has bipartisan support. This is to rebuild highway, bridges, and so forth. They do this every 4 or 5 years. And they pass it to try to make sure our roads are built and they're being maintained the proper way and things of that nature. And lastly, I want to cover, they continue to be more crackdown on the amount of illegal CDLs that are out there because there are a ton. And carriers are getting a lot more wary. They're checking it. And I know brokers are getting a lot more wary about the amount of illegal CDLs that are out there, especially the foreign nationals. I don't want to point out foreign nationals, plenty of foreign nationals with legal licenses, so we're not want to go there. But I'm just telling you, they are really cracking down on that because too many of these things have slipped through the hoop. And just on a safety note, you really don't want a guy or girl that's not trained hauling 80,000 pounds behind your wife, your kid, your mother. So keep those things in mind. It's a very specialized job that's very important to keeping America moving. It's also important that we don't go out there and kill people on the road. We want to protect the image of the trucking industry. That's been very great to me my whole life, and I'm very passionate about it. So with that said, that wraps up the Hall of Fame. We have a great episode coming. We're going to talk about using AI and how to track trailers in the yard and how important that is. This is a company that I'm excited about. I'm dying for you guys to hear about it. Look forward to it, and welcome to the Hall of Fame. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. We have a great guest today from Sidetracks.io. It's Chris McCoot. I think I may have pictured that, but maybe we'll see. I'll let him correct it in the end. He's going to talk a little bit about his company, how he tracks containers and trailers within the yard, and how he's using AI and some of the technology to do that. Let me not steal his thunder. I'm going to pass it over to Chris and let Chris introduce himself, tell you a little bit about his company. And we're going to talk about how this technology can help everyone and how it can help the drivers, shippers, and actually commercial carriers on tracking their equipment on yard. So, Chris, without further ado, I'll turn it over to you.
Ken, thank you for having me on this today's podcast. My name's Chris Makut. You nailed it. You got it good. It gets butchered all the time for my entire career, even back in the day when I played high school football. You can imagine coach yelling at me on the field going, but my name, once again, is Chris Makut. I'm founder and CEO of Sidetracks.io. We are here to help the supply chain find their stuff. And we do that with computer vision. Creating good data is the name of the game of what our business does, and we do it with any camera, leveraging AI. I know it's a played out term, but optical character recognition, object detection, computer vision, and cameras is how we do it. Be it iPhone, Android, security camera, we can identify asset IDs in the supply chain, tell people where they are, and deliver them that data into their systems.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I love it. All right, great. So tell me, give me an idea just to start. And so what is a customer to you look like? And tell me what. So I walked in. Let's say, am I a guy that owns a yard? Am I a shipper that has a yard? Or am I just a general 3PL looking for boxes in a certain area? Tell me what your customer looks like, your average customer.
A typical customer is a shipper, somebody dealing in the B2B side of our global supply chain with intermodal containers, trailers, chassis, those that need to know where their stuff is. Did it gate in? Did it gate out?
Yeah.
Was it delivered? Was it picked up? My favorite is where the hell was it?
Well, I think that's great. I think one of the biggest things, as I thought about your technology, I think about it my 20 years working for a carrier. The biggest thing that can, especially as a shipper, why I think the shippers would want this technology, is put on the shipper. Let's start with the shipper side. Is the shipper, they can tell, hey, this guy got here at this time. He left there this time. So if I give you a prime example of something we used to have. We used to have a carrier that says, oh yeah, we are late to the delivery. Because let's say the delivery is 3 hours away. Or we're late because we had a problem finding the box. So I'm like, really? And the only time we could catch them is at the rail yard because there was an out gate, but leaving the rail yard. We'd say, you left the rail yard 2 hours before you drive. So once you left the rail, you're already going to be late. It's a 3-hour drive. But you can help with this more than just at the rail yard. You can help it at every shipper because because your gate guard sign out thing is as accurate as oh yeah, I left an hour ago. I don't know when he signed me out, but I looked at some of your camera technology and talk about some of that, how that would help a shipper.
Oh my gosh. Where it really starts is how you use a camera. You have one of these, right?
Yes,
cell phone, just invented about a couple of years ago, right? On the back of it is a camera. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of the camera itself matches typically the use cases. So you may have a trucker going into a facility, dropping off a load and just wants to capture, hey, yeah, I dropped it off. Take a picture with Sidetracks. We'll grab the asset ID, GPS coordinates, timestamp, all immutable, that data set. Let's take it a step further. Let's say you're a 3PL working with those dispatchers. You have some poor guy or gal, takes paper, I'm taking Post-it notes, write down the location of every single one of those chassis, trailers, containers in that yard. has to get then relayed to a dispatcher, that the dispatcher then has to tell them, the trucker, yeah, it's over at warehouse 12.
Yeah. No.
Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. Maybe it was 15. Yeah, that's a challenge. And what if, instead of taking that piece of paper, guy just went through the yard and scanned every single asset, pinpointed every single location, every single chassis, every single trailer, every single container. That way the dispatcher actually got real data of where the assets are. And then for that trucker, being dispatched to warehouse 15 correctly, not to warehouse 12, if that's where it's positioned or located. Don't even get me started on drayage yards.
No, it's big. No, I think, I'm getting it out. I can frame it. So if I had a fleet of 30 drivers and Aaron was going into this yard and I have 15 drop boxes, if everyone used the app, we'd know exactly where to say, how many, remember you come in the morning, you typically the first guy, hey, go in there and do a yard check. How do you do a yard check? Everyone's using the app. I know there's 12 there, 2 came in, 1 left, here's what's left. Because if everyone's using it, it gives you an updated, because I remember every morning we would go into these large yards and wait someone to, hey, have someone do a yard check, just because you weren't sure if the information you have was being sent and done correctly. So that manages it a lot. Okay, great.
I mean, the kicker in that too is, let's say the yard check was done at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
By 8, 9 a.m., it's totally changed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's just, it's a moment in time. I tell people it's a moment in time. This is real time. Okay, that's great. Another, as we thought about this, I keep thinking about myself, thinking about an amazing piece, especially in the ocean box industry, where demurrage is such a huge problem.
Big dollar item, right?
It's a huge problem. Is about what I call turning of boxes. And what you always have is guys come in, they'll go in and they'll grab the easiest box to find, but you can actually tell them, no, I want you to grab box 242541.
It's you might make more
here because it starts to emerge tomorrow. The closest one may start to emerge in 2 days. So you can actually direct the flow of the pool to save you money versus the opposite, where the driver's going to take, if you tell them to go get a immersed box, a China shipping box, they're going to grab the first thing they see. Versus managing it, you're going to get your oldest box out. So you're not,
instead of being strategic in it and actually being business. And it makes sense. I mean, as a truck driver, you walk into a room, you have an opportunity, you're going to hook up to the closest thing if there's no other information. If there's no other person to guide you. I mean, they had that same effect going on with the pandemic. I remember hearing, like in Long Beach and LA, they were just grab any box and take it.
They were grab. It was a mess. I mean, I did a lot of business out in Long Beach and LA during that time, and bro, it was a madhouse. The other thing I thought about some even more is when you talk about detention itself.
Yep.
I tell you. For drivers that are not paid hourly, and that's the bulk of them, they're paid by mileage and
mileage and load.
Yeah, they per stop. It's either drop hook or a live or however they're paying them. So when you go to do that drop hook, so you drive in, you do your drop, say about 15 minutes in. The time you go to get your other box, you're still being paid that same flat amount. Let's say that flat amount is 35. Everyone that's a different number. Let's say it's 40. If I know exactly where my box is, especially in a yard of 2,000 boxes, I know where it is. I can get to that box. I'm out of there after I drop it on 15. I'm leaving in 20 minutes, 25 minutes tops. If I don't know where that box is and you tell me to find a specific box, I'm driving up and down lanes trying to find that box. It could take me an hour.
You're not making money doing that.
Because there's no extra money. A drop fee is a drop fee. You're not going to pay more. You don't mind if you start driving again. So I think that could be very, very beneficial on the driver's side. So here's my question. Can drivers access this information? And what does it cost a driver?
You're a trucker. Let me ask you a question, Ken.
Sure.
If, let's say you were, put on your trucker hat.
All right. I got it out, brother. But you got
it on this one for a second. I want to this. If you're a trucker, Long Beach, there's just so much volume. Okay. Play with me here for a second. in a month as a single mom and pop, how many turns, and I know the distance matters, let's say they're not even consistent every time. How many turns do you think you can do in a month? Meaning going in, grabbing a container, bringing it out. Now you might bring stuff in, but going into the facility, picking it out, pulling it out of the port, and dropping it off. Just that workflow. How many in a month?
All right, so a driver in Long Beach, because I know how long their freight is, they're doing about 3 of those turns a day. So they do 3 times 10, that's 30, 90. So 90 on a 30-day move.
90 on a 30-day move. Yeah. That means there's no vacation, there's no weekends.
No, they're pumping. The Long Beach loads are very short. So you go to city industry. It's a short turn. But they spend most of the time is spent in Long Beach and the LA port. I don't know if you know that. Finding that box. Those places are madhouses.
Yeah. One of my business partners lives in Long Beach, so I get to be exposed to Long Beach a lot, and there are number of supply chains.
We had a yard directly across the street from the entrance to Long Beach. It is this is when I was at my logistics company. It was a madhouse. I mean, we would spend when we talk about 3 turns, the delivery of the box was probably 2 hours. So 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, 6 hours. The time on the customer, an hour. That's 9. The rest of the time they spend, which is easily an hour and 15 at each pickup, was in finding that box inside the LA port. It was averaging about 72 minutes.
Oh, wow. With SiteTracks, you can go to SiteTracks with an X.io, sign up for free, use it for free, 100 containers per month for free scanned. 100. And you can scan. That doesn't mean, I scanned the container once when I found it. Another time in that same day, then I scan it again. Then I scan it again when I drop it, or maybe I scan it again when I make a stop. Then I scan it again when I drop it. Then I go back to the port. I scanned it 4 times. Yeah, that's a single scan in the same day. Oh, you can get 100 unique containers per day in a month for free.
Then everything's for free because you can't turn more than that in a month. You're there.
Why are we doing that? Because
I'm curious why.
The truckers. We're not trying to charge the truckers for this, Ken. Mm-hmm. We want the truckers using it and going with the data, sharing that data with their BCOs, their 3PLs, their drayage companies, their shippers, sharing that information. I did drop it off. Here is the condition of it. No, it wasn't damaged. This is literally the GPS coordinates that SiteTracks says I was when I was there. I picked it up, dropped it off here, pay me. We want to have a picture of that with this data.
You have a picture of that spot, and in LA, there's things on the ground. So you can picture off the number and the trailer container.
Well, that's the challenge. Can you imagine taking a picture of 100 containers and not having it searchable, indexable, knowing where the GPS coordinates, the timestamp? There are people that will take pictures. Going back and having somebody say, hey, did you actually pick up that load? Prove it.
Yeah, no, especially a month later when you didn't get billed and well, do you drop that container? I said, man, I don't know what picture that was, but you can go to SiteTracks and find it, and it geotags it from the picture.
Well, not only that, the trucker can just type in the container ID in their account, and it'll pull up and give them a receipt.
Oh, wow.
Instantly that they can, here you go, man. Take a look. Here's where it was dropped. One of my favorites, and this is actually one of my favorites that I've heard from some shippers with truckers. You didn't drop it off. Yeah, I did. No, you didn't. Yeah, that with that one going on.
Oh, that's a big thing.
The shipper going, oh, I didn't look in the backyard where it said for me to put the truckers. I thought you were going to put it in the front.
Oh, yeah.
But it was in the back the whole time. How many times has that happened?
It happens a ton. I think the other thing it helps with tremendously for truckers and even for 3PLs that should pay that I think would benefit from this is it kills the detention argument. Let me tell you how the detention argument works. I'm telling you that this is the biggest gimmick I've seen. We have drivers. I remember, I'm not going to name the shipper. It was in LA, and they would go in there, and it was a drop, and we dropped 10 boxes, and I think we dropped them at between 6 and 6:16. We had guys lined up because they were really backed up at the port. We had to get them all out. So they went in, and the gate guard signs them out and so forth. So we had to wait to leave for like an hour and 45 minutes. Everything after an hour we charged. When we went back and we said to them, hey, we build 45 minutes detention for these 10 loads, they're like, well, we had you showing up at 7 and leaving at 7:45. No, we got there at 6. They're like, well, we have to sign out logs right here. The log their guy signed out, and here's what it said. That ends that argument right now. Yeah, no, I have a picture where I dropped it in your yard. It's geotagged, not by us, by a third party. Okay, and it's also a timestamp. So you can look it through my phone, but what's better yet? Go sign up with them, okay? And you can go check where it is. But it was there, and I can provide it. I can print it out. I can actually take that, print it out, and attach it to the detention bill. You know what I mean? It has a timestamp, a geotag. Hey, here's the longitude, latitude. I wonder what you use.
Latitude, longitude of where the picture was done.
Yeah, but the military guy, longitude, latitude is what we use. Latitude, latitude, you can go look that up on the computer, see if it's in your yard. The picture of where it is in your yard, the picture of the container in your yard, and a geo timestamp by a third party. Not by my company, by the way, by Sidetrack. So I get that. That, to me, is a huge selling point for carriers in 3PL.
To use it for free.
Yeah, but I'm thinking more on the carrier side. The carriers would, when I ran a 3PL, I would pay to have that information. Listen, you have no idea about 40% of our detention bills we write off because we couldn't fight them and we couldn't prove we were there. You know what I mean?
That's the point. You get, and that's exactly it. And the key is we're doing something that is actually, Chris, this sounds dumb. It sounds obvious. It's just taking a picture and GPS. I can do that. I can build that.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a little bit of my background, if you don't mind.
Tell me a little about your background. What you get?
So I have a serial entrepreneur problem. I love tech and I love business. I'm actually a computer engineer, Virginia Tech Hokie graduate. From
I got a Hokie story. When you're done, remind me to tell you this Hokie story. Go ahead.
You got a Hokie story? Okay. All right.
I got a good one for you.
But I started out of college thinking I knew everything as a good engineer does. And as an engineer, I know how to do business because it's very systematic. Boy, that's what you learn in your 20s that you don't know everything, Ken.
You know the hard way, yeah.
Did you know you don't know everything? Well, I learned very quickly how not to run a business. And after years of training and reading books and sold my first company in late 2000s and had a little bit of idle time and wanted to try to figure out what I wanted to do next. Mm-hmm. And I did a lot of boating. I actually went on the water. Well, how does that have to do with trucking? Well, I'll get there in a minute. And it exposed me to the business to business side of the supply chain, being on the water, fishing. Let's say in a 20-foot fishing boat, you'd see these large ships going by in the Chesapeake Bay. Our offices are in Norfolk, Virginia. So see, well, what are those things? Oh, those are intermodal containers. We actually call
you see that?
I had no idea. Look more and more into it, and just like this massive. So that's what, peeling off the layers, us Walmart and Amazon consumers just think goods arrive on the shelf magically.
Oh, they think it's in the back of the store.
Yeah, it's just in the back of the store. Piece of cake. Snap your finger and it's there. And it just blew my mind of just seeing all this. And you're going to enjoy this, I hope. I saw a tugboat pushing a barge. I'm sitting there looking at it and saw the barge and saw the tugboat pushing the barge. Have you ever seen a tug pushing a barge, Ken?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you know the captain's back here? And if I hands the barge is like 10 times the length.
Yes.
The little boat in the back.
Oh.
Do you think he can see when he's pushing in front of him?
No way. Yeah.
There are things called rules of the road.
Yeah.
Where you're supposed to put a deckhand on the end point of a barge and risk the deckhand's life to say, hey, you're about to hit a channel marker. Hey, you're about to run over another boat. Long and short of it, talked to a couple towboat companies that were out there that was on there. I was like, is this a problem for you? And they go, well, you have no idea. Do you know what this is called? It's called the dead zone, Chris, in front of the barge. I'm like, well, why don't you just put a camera out there? Like, we'll tell you why. Well, can you do it with a GoPro? So the engineer in me was like, I was fascinated. Okay, I can take this camera, I can mount it up front. We tried GoPros, we tried all this stuff. Those barges, like on the Mississippi River, they can be stacked a half a mile long.
Yes.
Think about that for a second. A half a mile of barges. That captain can't see anything. We did some customer discovery, learned about the opportunity of 25,000 barges across the world. Not very big, right, Ken? But still went down the path of, let's design a camera to go on the front of the barge and let's call it, wait for it, a tug cam. We did customer discovery. We did pilots. We did all this other stuff. 25,000 potential customers, Ken, from a investor standpoint. Does that sound like a very large market?
No.
I was in Norfolk going, okay, what are we going to do with this thing? I saw a tower crane going behind a building with a hook block.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever seen this in a crane. They're all the way at the top of the building, looking at the top of the building, not at the load that's going behind the building, because what's called the boom of the crane actually extends out beyond the building and goes down 30, 40, 100 stories.
Yeah.
Operators literally like this. The derogatory term for those kind of crane operators is called a lever puller, because they're not doing anything than somebody else radioing to them saying up, go down, operating again in the blind.
Yeah.
So that the key is like, what's going on here with industry? Do you mean these multi-million-dollar machines, these tower cranes, these tugboats, overhead cranes, trains in rail cars and yards get sent through garage doors because the locomotive is pushing the train and the rail cars in the yard, and they don't know that the garage door that the cars are going to go into is closed. I mean, little simple things like this. They don't even have backup cameras. This is my business that I've been amazed at the people that have participated in the business called hoist cam.
Oh,
there's a million pieces of heavy lifting equipment in the world that operate in the blind.
In the city?
Operators,
yeah.
It's crazy. These operators, these fly by your butt cheeks, literally, you're feeling the machine because you can't see anything.
Yeah.
Have to have no backup camera, have no situational awareness of seeing what they're doing. This is what got me exposed to cameras.
Makes sense.
The long and short of this story, hoist cam, invented over a decade ago, exposed me to the challenges of this little sensor here on this camera. Mm-hmm. Of why I got asked by the guys that pay the bills for these hoist cam systems to go on these big machines. The supervisors asked me, and this was 2015. I remember being asked this question when I showed a customer the feed that his crane operator could now see on the other side of the building. He goes, "Oh my God, can you just tell me he picked that thing up and he dropped it off?" And I'm like, you don't know that he did? Now that he can see, you don't know that he picked that up and dropped it off? No, I don't. Like, well, so you want my camera to identify the ID on that asset and tell you where he just placed it? They go, yeah. We were awarded a grant back in 2016. This is a great use of just R&D, trying to figure it out, to embed what's called optical character recognition technology and optical or object detection technology, which I alluded to at the beginning of this session, into the camera. We determined at the time, and this was 2016,
yep,
It would cost us $25 million. And in one of our introductory calls, you and I were talking. I am not a very good professional panhandler to go, hey, Ken, I got this idea, bro. I got this idea. I want to put OCR and object detection into this voice cam camera because people have no freaking clue where their stuff is.
Yeah.
You'd look at me and go, you want what? You're stuck at the $25 million. I had that same reaction. I was just like, no. There was this thing called the pandemic that occurred. Mm-hmm. We tabled the project. We were going through, we were learning, we were having our cameras from 2016 through 2020. We took all this knowledge and collected all this information on different cameras and the environments and how hostile it is and why we needed $25 million. It was really tough. It's really difficult. And people will say, well, I'll just go to Amazon and Google and I'll just put the container in there and it'll give me the ID. Yes, about 70% of the time, it'll get it right. It's a great generalist. It's a terrible specialist. Yeah. And that's what we were running into. I even thought that we were just going to use Google, Amazon's technology to be able to facilitate it. The pandemic hit and the supply chain finally realized not knowing where their stuff is costing them money, right?
Tons of money.
That's where SiteTrax was grown out of. A decade's worth from my voice cam team that SiteTrax spun out as an AI company to be just purely give you the data from any camera and feed that data into your system, your spreadsheet, your receipt, your PDF, and you know the whole acronym sauce of PMS, YMS, WMS, ERP, the massive magnitude of different systems that are out there that all need good data. And that's where we sit with SiteTrax, making something incredibly complicated as simple as zip tying a camera to a pole and getting the gate ins and gate outs, to dispatching a trucker or enabling a trucker just to click on a link from a text message, pull up their camera and scan the load, to downloading a simple app and just taking a picture to get that situational awareness of where these assets are in the supply chain. That's the background.
Love it. I love it. So thank you. That's a great discussion. And before we close, I always close out. I always give about 30 seconds to just tell us about where people can find you. Before we end this podcast, amazing podcast. So go ahead and give me your closeout, sir.
My closeout is, if you're in the business, you need to know where your stuff is. I don't know if you can see my shirt.
You can see it, yeah.
When you know where your stuff is, use SiteTrax. Go to SiteTrax with an X, SiteTrax.io. Sign up for free. Scan 100 assets for free each month. Get the good data that you need. Make more money and stop those disputes.
All right. Well, thank you for being on the Hall of Fame again. That is SiteTrax.io. Please check him out. This is an amazing episode. Thanks for taking the time to come on. And you are now a member of the Hall of Fame. Have a great day.